Akko is in study mode. We finally meet Professor Pisces, and we journey into Sucy's mind and more madness. Welcome back to the land of magic. Reach out, and our after show will begin. It is the Little Witch Academia after show on Afterbuzz TV, and it starts right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, Afterbuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Little Witch Academia after show right here on Afterbuzz TV. I can't get enough of this theme. We were flying back from Austin over the weekend. I listened to this while we were taking off, and I just felt like I was on a broom. It was a whole bunch of magic. It was a wonderful moment. Welcome back. We're going to be covering episodes 7 and 8 on the Netflix series Little Witch Academia. Let's introduce the team. I'm one of your hosts here, and it's Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. Joined as always by Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hi guys, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles or all across the web at Nerds Doing Stuff.
And joining us for today's series of episodes, Rachel Goodman.
Hi guys, I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rach Goodman or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman.
So these ones, holy crap, we got so much that we've been looking forward to and stuff that we didn't know we wanted, and a lot of people in our chat for the last episode, they were going really hard for I forgot the name of the ship, but there was a little bit of sea activity within these two. Well, actually, more ways than one in these two episodes. Let's start talking about Orange Submariner. We finally get to meet Professor Blub Blub, but we're not Professor Blub Blub. Excuse me, but. We start with Akko in super study mode.
Look at her go!
Seriously, she's finally taken everything that has happened, everything that she's learned from Ursula, and has really decided to hunker down and get into it. Everybody is just freaking out over our potions teacher, going over the legal ramifications of people using magic for the wrong reasons, and well, let's be on the test! Yeah, it's gonna be on the test. Okay.
Shot it furiously. So she may not be very good at taking notes yet, but she's trying.
She's trying.
She's there.
She doesn't get that when you're in class, you essentially need to take notes on everything, because everything is a part of the test, because that's why you're in that bloody dang room. What was everybody's favorite thing about Akko in study mode?
I loved how hard she was trying, even though she was failing, but just the fact that she tried and put all this effort into it, she wouldn't even go to the club.
I know.
I loved it.
And it was constantly like being barraged by fun things to do, and she had that willpower. What a girl. When she turns it, when she turns her attention to it.
She turned it on. Ursula was trying before every exam. All right, let's see how you can do. Nothing. Just nothing. But to give her credit, she didn't fail anything. Mm-hmm. The fact that she got a D- for flying just because she got on the broom still technically passed.
Yeah.
Doesn't help her magical GPA, but it's still a step in the right direction. What everybody think about the owl and raven language exam? Just listening to a raven caw.
I literally thought she was gonna write I was waiting for it.
Made sense. I like that she tried though. She made stuff up. She was like, he looks hungry. maybe it's hunger. Let's just go with that.
And I love how she was like, yeah, like I didn't do so well on this, and those two girls were like, well, you don't do so well in anything, Akko. Yeah.
Okay, and actually, here's a fun little thing. We found out the name of the two girls are Hannah and Barbara, as a reference to Hanna-Barbera, which is really, really silly. And the fact that, and especially in the Sucy episode, there's so many different references to all walks of animation, and it's very welcome. It's a wonderful thing to see. We try to get a little bit of white magic by repairing things. The main crux of this episode was Akko getting a chance to see all of her friends' strengths in an effort to determine her own. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and the fact that she was straight up copying exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
And kind of started realizing that that's not how it works. So that was an interesting growth. Because I think that is what happens a lot of time when you're trying to learn something. You do it exactly how that person does it. She went to the extremes with the inflection and all. So it was adorable.
Well, especially when she and Ursula are talking about their childhood dreams and did you always dream of being a teacher? And before we get an answer from Ursula, maybe learn a little bit more about her, she gets pulled away, but ultimately Akko goes a little bit further than I want to be just like Chariot. It's I want to do magic that can bring people joy and bring people happiness and change the world with that joy, because sometimes you need a little bit of positivity, and sort of in a meta way that's what this show is doing as well. Just by being uber happy.
Yeah, and she's sharpening her desires and focusing and it's helping her focus.
What was everybody's favorite exam? And as a result, everybody's favorite character show?
So I think Ursula has become my favorite character. But my favorite exam, I loved the fish exam. Even before it became a bigger part of the storyline, when we just saw her trying to take this exam, when she suddenly realizes, oh, that fish is actually talking. And I've missed the entire course so far because I don't speak fish.
Bless her heart, though. She thinks that every day they were just going in there and sitting there. And just like,
notes.
Oh, this is cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a writing class. Everybody just sits there. We stare at a fishbowl, but then the reaction of her friends being like, "No, that's Professor Pisces. Wait, a fishbowl. You don't have a professor that's a fish, right?"
I love how they were like, a prereq for the class was supposed to be mastery of fish language.
Who let her into the class? Who was like, yeah, she can go do that.
Whatever.
It's fine.
Well, it might have been a situation where they just needed one more student for the class to happen. And it's like, oh, we have somebody interested, but she doesn't fit the recommendations. And then it's like, look, we've got Amy, and her entire career is writing on being able to take this class.
All right.
Amy needs to take this course. Akko can come in. Are you sure? Yes, Akko can come in. All right. But I like how it's magical philosophy is the class. And it's a super hard class, like an AP, and it's literally just blubbing from, no offense, Professor, but fish language being as complicated as it is, and instead, but here's where Akko's heart gets a little bit too in front of her head, and if she fails this course, she will be expelled. And that's the main crux of and that ends up being the final plot is you need to learn how to speak fluent fish, and you need to catch up on notes that you haven't been taking this entire time. But instead of just trying to understand fish, instead she tries bribing her with this really nice mineral water.
Honey.
Oh my god.
All of the celebrities are drinking it. I think without even paying attention, you'll just love it. I know. Now about the test. It ends up going belly up in an effort to save her.
Yeah.
Flushes her down the drain.
Down the drain.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as she lifted up the water, I was like, this is not going to end well.
This is going terrible places.
And then she somehow drops her down the drain.
But getting going to the end of the episode and being able to, I wonder if Professor Pisces was like, you know what, I deserve this.
Did you notice too that she did look like a dead fish?
Yeah.
And obviously she's not. So
it was a grand escape plan.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
I just need a break.
Right?
How long has she been in that fishbowl? She hasn't been able to go into open water for how long?
I really don't want to grade exams. I just need to get out for a while.
Yeah, dude.
This is the perfect excuse.
Yeah. Go visit the extended family.
I liked the top-down angle that they used of the shot where you see Professor Pisces going down the drain and Akko reacting just like... everything that could possibly happen wrong happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't made any better because the girls decide to go down, follow her into the sewers, and Professor Ursula, cover for us.
Natural logical
She has
response.
no idea what to do.
Like,
Yeah.
But the fact that doesn't even make we don't know how well she is at certain magic or what the rules are of like creating a living being, if that breaks some sort of magical rule or requires a lot of power or whatever. But still, she just makes a lure
Yeah.
Very convincing.
with a very large hook hanging off the bottom of it, and everybody's like, "Morning, Professor."
Yeah, like I don't get that. Why? And then wasn't it another teacher that came in and was
Yeah,
like,
it was the flight
oh.
teacher. If you could give us her name in chat, that would be very helpful, just because we can't get it right now.
if the students didn't get it, okay, maybe. But the
Sure.
teacher should have come in and be like, okay, what's going on?
But even just Ursula under the desk giving the basic fish onomatopoeia, and then the other professor understanding it. Like, oh, you're feeling under the weather? I'm sorry to hear that. I'll help. I'll be your assistant. I don't have a class this period. I'll help you out. All right,
fine.
we're doing this exam right now.
Super gung-ho about it. Like, A+ for being helpful, I guess, but she's oblivious.
Professor Nelson. Yeah, very good. There is a rule of comedy, and that rule is it's a down on their luck person never being able to succeed. And that's what makes Akko so endearing, and I think that's what makes Ursula so endearing. And then leading up to the transformation magic, where we get everybody as fish friends for the most part, and Fish Lotte and Fish Sucy were really adorable.
Fish Sucy is the cutest.
But even
I know Lotte is adorable, but
Not only that, but like the fish that they meet, that made me really sad when the poor thing was like, I can't find my family.
It was Minnie finding Nemo.
Yeah.
It was the opposite. It was one finding the rest of the family. But then in the gate going, Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Big Brother, Little Sister, Little Brother, Big Sister.
I had to think
Got
about
it.
it for a second.
that was a good moment.
It was the bow.
That was good.
The bow threw him off. But Akko semi-successfully turns herself into a fish. That's a start.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's something. It's more than we were doing before.
Yeah.
At a girl.
A creepy, gross fish friend. A different type of mermaid. Upper body mermaid instead of lower body
Like
mermaid.
merman.
Very gross. On their way to rescue Professor Pisces, they find the little fish that lost the family, and the other girls are like, "You've got to get to your exam, go!" But there's Akko's heart in action again, and just like, no, we can't leave him by himself.
Yeah, and that was kind of a great moment because all we learned that magic philosophy had been talking about was something about altruism in different species. And so that was kind of, I don't know, I had the moment of, oh, she's going to help the fish and the professor's going to notice and that's going to scrape her by.
Yep. It's really scraped her by. But we find out that there's the secret poaching thing that's happening. It's not supposed to be in that lake. Akko goes up, grabs the grate from, or the cage from the guy that's trying to steal the fish, and said, "Don't poach in this lake ever again." Sure, yeah, whatever you want.
Oh my god, okay.
The creepy look on the dude's face too.
Yeah. But probably like this had so much character growth for Akko and for Ursula, because after this we find out that Akko made the dirt sheets essentially. Secret fish girl pops up in the lake and is like, she's disgracing the school. Professor Fenelon learned her name. Professor Fenelon is berating her, is like, she's misrepresenting the school. Her grades are garbage. She's nothing compared to the other students, and she still needs to be reprimanded. And despite the fact that Akko maintained being able to understand and speak fish from her transformation in some way, shape, or form, and acing the test by displaying everything that was taught, lucky. Didn't have to show any work or anything, just do it.
Right? Just did it.
Just do it.
Field experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's true. We did we did miss something in the course of the seeing what everybody is good at. We learned that Diana is really good at fortune telling and seeing the stars.
Yeah.
And she made a prediction, and one of the things that I liked about it so much was that she sees that Akko will leave Luna Nova at some point. but she didn't present it in like a you're gone, you're leaving. She was legitimately surprised and taken aback.
She was like, oh, like
what?
Well,
she's gonna leave?
You know what I thought? Like, it immediately reminded me of Harry Potter, because obviously when Harry leaves at the end, it's his own decision to leave. So it makes me think that Akko's going to get so good and that maybe the school is going to be in trouble and that she's going to have to leave to actually protect the school. And the other thing is that when Diana had that reaction, it was almost like she saw something else that she didn't tell them, or that the fight interrupted before she had the chance to actually, you know, divulge the information.
continue.
But again, it was Hannah and Barbara that were misinterpreting what was happening.
Yeah, they immediately jumped to, oh, she's getting expelled.
Yeah.
Which leave and, you know, being kicked out, totally different things, very ambiguous in this case.
Yeah, and technically everyone leaves the school eventually.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if you graduate, you're leaving.
But it's probably the nature of what Diana saw specifically, because she seems to see things a little bit more clearly. And I hope that ability comes back. I mean, I'm sure the prediction will come back in the future, hopefully before the end of these 13 episodes. But my aside from that, and aside that little bit of growth that we saw in Diana, was Ursula standing up for Akko and saying, "You can't compare her to the other girls. She wasn't raised with magic like everybody else, and the strides that she's making compared to herself," which is entirely valid. As a teacher, going comparing the student to herself, she can now speak fish fluently and understand fish fluently, which is, as we know, for advanced students, it's a really random, rare trait, but it's something where, she learned that, and she's improving with her transformation spells. And, like, compared to somebody who has had no magic in her life whatsoever, and now being able to start to make those strides, she was getting fired up. And a subtle a subtle thing that we've been noticing with Ursula is she's usually very close to herself. Glasses cover up her eyes, which sort of indicates that she's hiding something or hiding the way that she's feeling. And within these past couple of episodes, we've been seeing her eyes more, which are the window to the soul. So that it seemed to imply when we see her eyes, we are seeing who she really is.
And that, to me, in that moment, it's like she was showing us and revealing her true self. Because usually the other members of the faculty are always kind of not berating, but kind of like talking down to her, like she's always doing things wrong as a teacher. And finally she stood up, and she was so powerful that no one even questioned what she was saying. And I love how one of the things she said was that I value Akko. And it just, I was like, wow, like in that moment, she became my favorite character.
And then we get, so right after that, we get a phone call that this underwater society wants to honor, is asking if the Mer student is a student from Luna Nova, because they want to honor her for saving this endangered species. And to which the principal goes, "Hey, let's honor. We can't excommunicate an honored student. So you get to stick around. However." And this is where Finland ends up becoming, and we don't know for how long because they didn't state it specifically, and judging on the next episode, it wasn't very long. But Finland is now a live-in instructor for not just the girls, but Ursula too.
All as a group.
Failing together as a group. But Ursula, or Akko, sort of respecting Ursula a little bit more, saying, "It's like you were a teacher." I am a teacher.
Well, surprise, Akko.
You don't get it. I'm not just a tutor. Any other thoughts on the Orange Submariner? Anything? This is a wonderful episode.
They were just so cute as fish. We had a kind of a more confirmation that in this school, at least, it really doesn't matter how you get the end result of the magic as long as you do it. So for example, with like Lotte summoning little sprites to come and fix the shoe instead of doing the direct magic, and just kind of the interesting, like, as long as you get it done, you get it done.
Thinking outside the box. And I would have to say this is one of my favorite episodes. Probably is my favorite episode. because of the dynamic between Ursula and the faculty and the relationship that's, like the motherly relationship that's kind of developing between Akko and Ursula.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved that. And I want to know more about their backgrounds and especially Ursula.
And so many people are saying which mom is the best mom.
Which mom is best mom?
in relation to Ursula. And one of the points that she made about being, if we just looked at grades and test scores and all of that, then that's not what matters. It's how you apply that, and Akko using her heart, a little bit more of her head, to get the desired result and showing compassion to any living creature, whether it's a fish or another person, and just trying to be the best person that she can be using magic. It's a pretty good. Akko's turning into a pretty good person.
Yeah.
Even though she already is.
And it's kind of especially important to have that as a message, with how standardized testing is such a thing now, and grades are kind of the be-all, end-all in a lot of cases. So to see that balance and to have to offer a better understanding of it is nice to see.
So, yeah. School sucks. Always has, always will. All right, so before we move on to our next episode, I wanted to tell everybody about iTunes. Now, we do the show for free, and in order to keep the lights on, we need to generate a certain sort of attention. So that requires your help. If you go to iTunes and you search for Little Witch Academia, you will find our podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, we have an audio version of the podcast. If you listen to us on iTunes, we have a video portion of the podcast. So make sure to head over to iTunes, leave us a review. That makes us go up in the standings. That makes, if people search for Little Witch Academia, we'll be the first thing that they find. So make sure to leave a review. Let us know how you're enjoying the show, what you would like to see from the anime side of Afterbuzz TV as well. Our producers look at those iTunes reviews and sort of assess where certain shows go in the future, so that helps us out a lot. Please head over to iTunes. We read a couple of reviews last week. We're going to read some more reviews next week, so go back and watch last episode or listen to last week's episode. If you submit a review, we will read it on the air and shout you out. We appreciate every single one of you for watching the show and sharing the show. That's the most important thing. Please share the show with your friends if you know they're watching the show and they want people to talk to about it. We're going to be in the comments. We're going to be responding to people, and also on Twitter. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, leave comments down below and thumbs up. All that sort of stuff. Share us. We absolutely love you. Thank you so very, very much. Now, let's move on to Akko's adventure in Sucy World.
Yeah.
So, first thoughts. Initial thoughts.
My general comment, before we get into the insanity that was Sucy's mind, is that it was interesting to see what they did with it. They showed all these different types of Sucy, and it just kind of almost was like a statement that all of us have different sides and certain things that we let out and certain things that we don't. And being able to control, the way that Sucy controls a part of herself, sometimes isn't always a bad thing.
certain parts of ourselves that we execute,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to put it, but yeah, it brought up a weird conversation to have. Well,
this whole episode was bloody weird, and as a result, I didn't want to miss anything, so I have a fair amount of notes, and essentially what happened is Sucy made this potion to amplify her magic. Something went wrong. She was originally going to test it on Akko, and this shows the weird sort of relationship that they have. It's like, wait, what if she drinks this and becomes a powerful witch? I can't let that happen. What kind of a person would I be? Actually, you know what? No, there's subtext there. Now going through the entire episode.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come. Yeah.
Hold off on that for a second.
Let me just write that down. I need to come back to that. But she ends up drinking it herself. The girls wake up the next morning. She doesn't, and she just naturally sleeps in the rest in peace, cross arms.
That's great.
Because she's adorable.
Of course.
The girls come back from class to see her still asleep and just mushrooms overgrown all throughout the room.
Yep.
Now, the way to send Akko into Sucy's mind is a very particular spell. We probably freaked the people out of the studio because we watched it right here. It was this beautiful thing where it turned into this rod, and she just knocked her the hell out.
I didn't know if the spell worked or if she was just knocked out at first.
I just think that's the spell.
I think that was it. I think it was like, here's a really effective way to knock somebody out. Boom! Have that. Oh.
Just beats the crap out of her.
I mean,
knocks her out. Oh, God.
down she goes.
I'd be interested to see Lota's mind.
Well, man. But also the fact that being the spell and Lotte had to do it. Like this perfect little cinnamon bun angel had to take a bat to one of her best friend's head and knock her out.
Just go for it.
Ready?
Save her. And we meet so many Sucys. Some people may say too many Sucys.
How many?
I won't.
No.
Because with a character like Sucy, who's so particular and such an individual character type, being able to see the different ways that you can play with that character and the different extremes of that character must have been fun for the voice actors.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no matter what, it was still, every Susi we met was still, there was still something that reminded you of the Susi that we see. It was just different characteristics kind of came out compared with other things, and that's pretty much what separated them. And I love how they all had a very specific, like, you know, I guess twang to the character.
Yeah.
So like the Hollywood Susi, I was like, yes.
Yes.
So people in chat, we want to know, while we're talking about this episode, what was your favorite Sucy? Leave it in chat right now, or if you're watching this not live, make sure to leave us a comment on our YouTube or find us on Twitter. We gave our Twitters. We'll give them again later. But please let us know who your favorite Sucy was. I liked the cops. Like, to be like,
Yeah.
just because they were stereotypical cops, and why do you need two of them? Why is one quirk a little bit different from the other? Entertainer Sucy, that was just a magician.
Great.
Yeah.
This is so bizarre.
So in chat, Monsterhead points out that this is a lot like a certain Teen Titans episode, which as soon as Lazy Susan went across the screen, that's the first thing I wrote down in huge letters, because it's one of my favorite episodes, and you know, all the different personalities is such a fun thing to play with, and this was at first very reminiscent of that, and then it just got crazy.
Yeah, somebody put it, it was Alice in Wonderland mixed with Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, I agree
on
with that.
purpose, and that's amazing and delightful.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait to reveal everybody's favorite Sucys until we get a little bit more. But Akko needs to get to the original Sucy, wake her up, and that way we get Sucy in real life woken back up. And she ends up getting a flower from this young, seemingly innocent Sucy, and that Sucy gets taken away by the police. And then we see Sucy after Sucy, one that wants to read the Nightfall series and just borrow Lotte's books and read it. They all get sentenced to death. It's like, what are you doing?
And then I love how we think that it's already happening.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We think we see heads just
I mean,
going.
they have this giant guillotine set up.
Yeah.
And it's going. There's like little shadowy things flying off the cliff. We're just like,
I was like, no, wait, no. And then finally, they're like, now it's the real time.
All right, now that they're done practicing, let's go.
Why would you even need to practice
Akko ends up freeing that particular Sucy and all of the other ones, and everybody goes free. And so they take the kind one with them and hit a ride with, I presume, like hipster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Hipster
that
Susie?
60s / hippie Susie.
Yeah.
Susie.
She No, not quite. She reminded me a little bit of Haruko from Fooly Cooly, just a little bit, because the car was like the color yellow of her scooter, and she was also wearing red. But if there was a bass guitar in the back, then that would have sealed it. But that's not what that was. They end up making it. By Akko's request, they end up. Hey, can we take a detour?
Yeah. She's still Akko deep down.
Yeah.
She's still there.
Wait, movies? I want to watch a movie.
With all the Susies? Yeah.
Forget about my friends.
No,
Surrounded by her right now.
Surrounded by all of the different Susies, and we find out that the screening is of Susi's memories. And we get to see how she sees the world.
For a second, I thought they were going to start showing the future, too. And to see, like, the future memories.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
A little bit. And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
But we got to see how she sees Diana as this gaunt, huge nose, just, like, pointed up. Terrifying thing. Akko has a good laugh, but then we see how she sees Akko as this bubbly, like 1930s animated character, like a Felix the Cat almost. Yeah, with the one tooth, and then having the mirrored shouting at each other, and then all the Susies reacting how they did. Man, that was.
And then she even laughs at herself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bless Akko. She's like, you know what, that is really funny.
That's pretty good. And one of the really poignant moments was, it goes back to the moment where they meet on the bridge. And it turns into this really ornate, almost, in at least for the style of the show, quote, lifelike thing that seems like a really vivid, I'll never forget this type of memory, and a really meaningful thing of, oh, this is when I met probably one of my best friends. This is so adorable.
It was nice. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
There's Susi's heart. It's there.
And once we start seeing the future and everything becoming devastated and burning to the ground and the mushrooms becoming overgrown, that's when our, what we thought was a really kind Sucy mutates and starts eating all of the other Susies to become this giant Evangelion-esque monster.
Yep. My thing was that version of Sucy, was she always going to be like that? Or was it because Akko saved all the good Susies? Because right around that time is when they made that comment about, if you don't kill certain aspects of yourself, then it could be, to the detriment of the rest of society. To me, I read it like maybe, that original Sucy that they saw wasn't going to do that until all the other Susies were saved, and then this crazy thing just happened. But yeah.
Well, because it goes to just the nature of people, where you can make a decision that can lead you down a completely different road, can change who you are, and it was said very succinctly and definite in terms of, you have to kill off parts of yourself in order to become the person that you are, and that makes sense. Like you like, friends come and go, certain things that you like come and go. Like, I want to like this in the first place, and it made sense. It was just put because it was Sucy's head. That's what made it just terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But we end up getting a car chase. Hipster Sucy ends up getting eaten. Oh, we didn't even talk about Angel and Devil Sucy. That was great. And how instantly they didn't lead us on. It was Devil Sucy like, no, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to make her suffer. And when the Angel one shows up, it's like, you can't kill her like that. It's like, thank you, good. You're the Angel. It's like, but we all went, like that.
Yeah. And then she took out the needle.
I don't want her to feel a thing.
This will be peaceful. Oh, well,
okay, everybody run.
Yeah.
They
this
end
is
up,
what we're in for.
They end up getting eaten. We end up making it to Mushroom Mountain, which is just a series of apartments. To which I actually think my favorite Sucy is
Landlady
Sucy. Sucy. It's just very much, oh yes, I visited her room. She's doing very nice. And could you like some? And it's like a Tupperware mushroom. Would you like some mushrooms?
I've been here 10 years.
Oh no, was it 11 years?
She was going to tell a story whether or not Akko was there to listen.
I just renovated. Do you want to come in?
And of course, poor Akko is totally torn between her hurry and then no, I have to listen to this old lady's story.
This is still my friend. This is still a version of my friend.
I have to listen to everything she says.
Man. Okay, I get the reference now. We've got a couple of people's favorite Susis in here. Eastman says Jetta Sushi, making me do it. Hipster Susi, P.W. Gregory, Judge Susi was pretty awesome. Caitlin agrees. I don't know why, but my favorite was Judge. Miraculous Corazon says mine was Your Name Susi. They made a character, one of the characters in the quick. In the judge scene was a reference to Your Name. We just watched it and it was so much. There's so much in there. And then Montserrat, Llama Susi was my favorite. Llama Susi was
my God.
Llama Susi.
I like they made it spit upon the world Susi, but you could just be Llama Susi.
Yeah.
Same difference.
Like,
I mean.
but then at the same point it's like, but why just the llama? Just the llama. Who made their way back to the apartment
Right? I was like, all right, it's time to go home. Faster than Akko.
Yeah, spit back in her face. We end up finding out that, of course, original Susi is in room 666.
Naturally.
Of course.
Naturally,
Yeah.
makes sense. Opens it up, we just see brambles. She's on like a lit
And a dragon.
And all of a sudden, we knew where this was going.
we're going to Sleeping Beauty, and everybody kind of freaked out a little bit.
I'll be your first kiss.
But then I liked it was I don't have anything to mix or administer this potion. She mixes it in her mouth. She just takes if you've ever like the creepy people who go into other people's medicine cabinets and just like take stuff, and I don't mean just like grab it, but like take it, like administer to herself. She took all of it, put it in her mouth. It's like crap, this is gonna have to be mouth to mouth. I'm sorry that this is your first kiss, but we're friends, so it doesn't really count. But so like it wasn't like overly romanticized, but but the subtext of being at Sleeping Beauty put that expectation there of like, is this gonna happen?
This is where it's going.
And then-
That's
Oddly enough, that's what wakes her up.
Yeah, and just the immediate. What are you doing? Stop.
back up.
Yeah, just like even the fact that the Susi dragon had a heart in its eye was also she spoke for the fans, but just like, is this about to happen?
Is this real life? Am I actually watching this right now?
Time to set sail. The ship has run its course.
Well, that was short-lived.
But one of my favorite things about this series and this scene and the one after it sort of exemplifies how innocent it is. Like even the scene, in the last after show we were talking about Andrew and everybody fawning over him and all of that, but it was still kept very innocent. And this also was very innocent. It was never just like, well, I've never thought about Susi that way before. It was just like, I'm sorry, I just want to save your life. Just wake up. And even saying I love you, please don't, like, that wasn't that type of declaration of love.
Yeah, that wasn't, and yeah, she didn't have to go through and rationalize it too much
No.
to herself as far as, well, all right,
Yeah.
never thought of her this way before, but and like go down this path that we didn't need to go down. So that was.
It just seemed more like an innocent declaration because this is her friend, and her friend might die, and everyone she knows might die based on that futuristic memory. So she just, she just wants her to wake up so that everything can return to normal.
P.W. Gregory says, unfortunately, no, it didn't happen, and the Suki shippers silently weeped. That's SUKKY, the Susi and Akko ship, I presume. But after this seems to be a replay of the morning before. Akko wakes up and is freaking out because Susi is still not waking up, and gets in close again and immediately just faced into things like, please stop doing this.
That's the cue. That's it.
Yeah, and I love how she was like, you're supposed to carry my things now, remember?
He's like, wait, there wasn't a dream?
Yeah.
Hold on.
The question is, does Lada remember then? Because she didn't seem to remember any of it happening.
Either that or she just pushed it down so far.
Well, no, because technically, if it did happen in Susi's subconscious, then it did happen.
Yeah.
But Lotte wasn't there for any of it. So how would she know?
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode was absolutely terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
And amazing.
Yeah.
Out of these two episodes, I mean, this show keeps continuing to one-up itself. This is my favorite episode. No, this is my favorite episode.
Yep.
No, this is my favorite episode. And these two in particular was just magic, and I'm not gonna rephrase what I'm about to say. It showed the magic of friendship.
I'll allow it.
And you pass.
Fine. You can have that one.
And without necessarily having Sucy compromise the type of character that she is, we got to learn so much more about her and what she thinks of Akko and the world around her. What was... Oh, and which brings us back to the beginning of Sucy talking about... If Akko drinks this and she becomes a real powerful witch, I'm not going to do that to her. And now going through this journey with the two of them in her head, it makes sense of, I don't want her not to go through the work. She's working so hard to reach this pinnacle by herself and to earn this. I don't want to shortchange her by giving her the easy way out.
Right. Yeah, and that was really nice. And yeah, when the film started rolling, and you see all the things she struggled with. Like, you know, they may have been a little caricature, and, you know, picturing Akko as a very silly person, which she is, to be fair. But it still chronicled all of those struggles, and it seemed like Sucy definitely had a respect for that. So.
And I just think that we got a very deep glimpse into Sucy's mind. I would love to know what her background is and what she's gone through to make her this person that she's become, because it's very obvious that anything like lovey, you know, mushy-gushy lovey, like she wants nothing to do with. But it's also very obvious that these things are starting to come back up now, and it's because of her friendship. And so I love the transformation, and I love the deeper understanding we now have of how she thinks and the different people that are inside of her head. Because before, people would probably have just assumed that there was nothing but like angry thoughts and like angsty. So now it's like, okay, no, we know that with any person, there's different facets to that person and what's inside of them, even if they come off an angry way, or even the opposite, if they come off super, like, you know, bubbly, it could be the same exact thing.
And it goes to show, like, somebody may be a particular way, but that doesn't define their interests, that doesn't define the type of person that they are. Like with Lotte being a fan of the Nightfall series, that doesn't necessarily, quote, align with the type of character that she is, but we end up finding out why she's a fan of the series and why she's been so dedicated to it, and how that improves her as a person. And with Sucy, the inside of her head was a bright, colorful world. It may have been inhabited with mushrooms and terrifying people that want to kill everybody, but it's still bright and colorful.
And very open.
Very open. And shows that she's not necessarily closed off to anything. But she definitely has her own way of thinking.
And that's interesting too, because another thing is, when we see someone in general, or like these characters, we only see like a tiny percentage of them, but on the inside there are so many different layers and a colorful world, even for someone like Sucy.
Yeah, and this, I mean, I love the show. I really do. Like, go back to saying it over and over. It's just so nice. And it seems like such a cop out, but it's nice, it's innocent, and like coming off of a show like Attack on Titan, which has 0% innocence. It's been the end of innocence for like 30-40 years, and coming to 100% pure innocence in Little Witch Academia. It's so welcome.
You just need it sometimes.
Really, absolutely. Like there are times where it's just like, you know what? I'm having a bad day. Let's turn on the Little Witch OVA. Feel a little bit better about ourselves. Now, we're not going to get into predictions just because it's a Netflix show and some of y'all have probably watched it all. And I want to thank you, because so far there have been a couple of times where some people have alluded to some story things in chat, but it hasn't been necessarily anything that's been out of our frame of what we've been discussing and some of our own predictions that we've been having without necessarily giving anything away. So thank you for sticking to how we're watching the show. We're going episode by episode, and we're doing 4 episodes a day essentially, and it's been really difficult. It's been really difficult not to go through and watch it all.
Wait.
And I can't, like, as much as I don't like that we don't have all 25 episodes out right now, I will like to have the check mark of, all right, everybody's up to episode 13 at this point. Yep. Great, fantastic. Corazon brought up in the last episode, apparently in the same paper that Mermaid Akko was in, there's an article about the shooting star still flying around. It's like a mysterious broom. But yes, thank you everybody for not spoiling anything. The Netflix shows that we do here are relatively difficult, and maybe when the next half comes out, maybe we can do like a day-long thing. Who knows? That'd be a lot of fun. Either way, words, but just because we've heard a lot. We heard a discussion. Stacey and I attended a live recording of a anime podcast called Fan Service that Rooster Teeth does, and they brought up the issue with American distribution of anime and how it's so splintered, and how it's Crunchyroll, Funimation, Amazon, and Netflix now are all getting into the distribution game, but they're all handling it very differently. Netflix, for being as open and more common for people to have, is just... They're much like with Little Witch Academia. This came out in January, and the series has already run its course, but it's just now coming out here instead of them airing episodes as they air in Japan. And even Japanese Netflix, it's on Japanese Netflix, but they air it week after week after week after week. And we're not getting that, which is really unfortunate, because there's another one that's coming out that looks really interesting. I don't want to do.
No.
But speaking of that, and speaking of Netflix, Castlevania came out this past weekend, and it looks really cool. But and I really want to do a show about it. But they split that in half as well. We're only getting 8 episodes total. 4 episodes now. 4 episodes later. So when the full series is out, we'll probably cover it. But until next time, does anybody want to talk about anything in the anime world? Because we've got a couple of minutes. Or actually, we have more than a couple of minutes. But does anybody else want to talk about it while we have the time and while we have the studio?
I mean, you tell me what anime topic, and I'm here for it.
So maybe next week we'll do a discussion. Actually, no, I presented this question to you, and I just want to learn more about Rachel and your anime tastes. What do you think goes into a good anime opening? Because with Little Witch Academia, sir.
Before you go into the question, sorry, it's hard for my mic to work.
That's okay.
Castlevania, I just watched it, 4 episodes, it's great, but they didn't add 4 more, they doubled the order, so there's an 8-episode second season coming out.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Okay, so we'll figure out a time to do Castlevania. I must have misunderstood that article. Thank you, Stephen, for clearing that up. So with the Little Witch Academia intro, it's got magic, it's got strings, like the music and the visuals in the opening itself just fit together so wonderfully. What do you think goes into a good anime opening?
I guess it depends on the anime itself. I've watched anime where it's a slower show that's more serious. So in the opening, it's not going to be the jumpy music.
Right, happy,
yeah, but it's still really beautiful music. It's just fitting a different type of show. With this show, I love the song. It's very upbeat, and considering that this is a show about young girls that are trying to learn how to be witches, to me it feels really appropriate, and it's got a nice rhythm to it, and half the time I find myself dancing to it, so it's working.
What do you think, Stace?
And yeah, I love the upbeat stuff, and I actually really love it when animes will have they have a more somber tone or just not quite as active and actiony, I guess, but they have this crazy intro, like it's really upbeat or like some metal kind of stuff going on. Those are so fun and just like, what? Why? But sure. I think the more upbeat an opening is, the more fun it is, and the more likely I'm going to watch it every single time. Because there are some openings I refuse to skip, and some where I'm like, okay, it's fine. I've seen it a couple times. Move on.
Yeah, like I'm still trying to get sucked into at least for season 1, I was telling people that I was skipping the My Hero Academia intro. I wasn't as paying attention to it because I was just trying to get through the series.
Right.
And it was good and it was fine, but it was if you're trying to marathon a season in a night, maybe you can give or take 2-3 minutes.
You shave off the minutes where you can.
Yeah.
You definitely do. Especially when you're like, I can do it. I can do 13 episodes before I go to sleep. It's only 10 o'clock at night.
At that point, it just gets competitive. No, skip.
Oh, yeah,
Go.
no. You skip as much as you can. You go.
Just scrub, recap. Okay, we're back. We're in.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that there should be enough of a. Ultimately, it should get you into how you should feel in this world. We already talked about it, but with Attack on Titan's first season, it puts you in this dark, terrifying, but they can do it, they can save the world sort of attitude. Mm-hmm. Man, is that just dark? It's just awful.
Yeah, well, and there was something furious about that too. So you were angry and ready to fight. You were ready to watch these. It
put you into Aaron's mindset.
Oh,
yeah.
Aaron has no chill. That song had no chill.
Well, what's some of your other favorite ones?
Hellsing, definitely, because we go into this really dark place, and the intro song itself is kind of dark, I guess, but it's still, like you're saying, really upbeat, and it's just I love that song so much that I actually have it on my Spotify playlist, and I will just listen to it.
No, I was listening to a bunch of them in the car on the way here. One of the ones that it was being a mixture of the animation and the song. We did an after show about it, Yuri on Ice. The combination of the rotoscoping of the animation of the ice skating as well as the lyrics of the song, it being in English.
Be happy.
Yeah, but it was all we are all born to make history. Here's how these people are going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then it would change and become more full as the episodes went on, and the animation would upgrade and change. And yeah, it's the art of the OP is very interesting. And man, for some of the marathon series, like your One Pieces, your Naruto's, your Bleaches, where they change maybe once every 30-40 episodes. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. How about Neon Genesis Evangelion with I think it was Fly Me to the Moon was their closing credit. Yeah,
and that's another thing. The ending song is completely different. Because especially for us in the States, where we're not watching it on TV, we're watching it through some sort of streaming service. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, people just skip them. Unless there's there's the episode preview at the end, or there's a little bit of extra story at the end, which some people don't know all the time because not every show does it, and it's not explicitly stated hey, you should probably stick around and watch more of this show.
Yeah.
And when they stand out, they stand out.
Well, it's kind of funny. This is a little off topic, but speaking of sticking around to watch the whole thing, I just saw Spider-Man the other night, and literally everyone stayed in the theater because we were expecting something.
Good.
Yeah.
And at the end, it was just, I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's good because usually with Marvel movies, people still leave. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Someone gets up to walk out. What are you doing?
You
Where
know
are you
better.
going?
Oh, honey.
We've been through so many of these. Sit down.
Is this your first time, honey?
I get it if it's a week or two in, maybe they've already seen the movie and they're like, I don't need to see it.
Opening
But
weekend.
opening weekend, opening night and stuff, when people get up and leave as soon as it's over, I'm like, but it's not over.
Yeah, especially with Marvel.
Yeah. So, long story short, let us know what some of your favorite anime openings are in the comments down below or on Twitter. And if you want to find us on Twitter, we'll give you our handles right now because that's the end of the show. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us again on this week's episodes. Let the folks know where they can find you.
They can find me at Rach Goodman on Twitter and Instagram, and at Rachel and Goodman on Facebook. Thank you guys for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure having you. Stacey.
Find me on Twitter at Stacey Shuttles. You can also find me on Instagram or all across the web web at Nerds Doing Stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. We just came back from RTX. All of that stuff is still being uploaded. We have 1 or 2 or 3 more things that are still in the process of being exported and uploaded. So if you're a fan of Rooster Teeth stuff, we do talk to or if you're a fan of anime, there are a couple of folks that we talked to that you should take a look at. Ones that are up right now, Miles Luna and Cole Gallion, they produce the fan service podcast, and they talk a little bit about anime in it. So I would highly recommend listening to that one. And then also Jordan Swears and Issa Badiola. We definitely talk about anime in that one as well. So go check out those interviews and watch more anime. Ultimately, it's a wonderful art style that is really starting to gain a lot more mainstream prominence. And if you are a fan of anime, make sure you leave a comment here and on iTunes, because we do want to do more at the studio. Thank you so much for watching. Follow us all here at AfterBuzz TV. We will see you next week at Luna Nova Academy.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
I don't speak fish!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.